Today on the show, Jack Quaid can't feel pain, which is perfect to stop the robbers from reindeer games in Novocaine. Daffy and Porky save the world without having to play basketball in The Day the Earth Blew Up. There may be a traitor in the midst, and that's affecting people's marriages in Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag. And John Malkovich is a pop singer who leads a deadly cult. I'm listening in Opus. Let's get started.
I had like a little coffee burn, a little bruise. This is just the beginning, but I'm gonna get really messed up.
In Novocaine, Jack Quaid is a loner assistant manager who falls for co-worker Amber Midthunder, only he has a secret, which is a disease that causes him to not feel any pain, and I really like a lot of what the movie does. It's a brutal-ass action comedy where he uses his gift of not feeling pain to his advantage to get her back after she's taken hostage during a bank heist. But I was very much into the themes here, even before the action plot kicks in. Such as everyone he tells does automatically assume that what he has is a gift or something that makes him a superhero, but it gets pretty deep into how that's not the case for him at all. He can't eat solids because he might bite into his own tongue. He has to set an alarm every 3 hours so he knows when to use the restroom. He was bullied in school over it, so in his adulthood he has problems with relationships and spends most of his time at home playing games with his buddy who he's never met in person. It's really a story about this guy accepting his disability and using it as a strength, and I really enjoyed it. Jack Quaid is someone who I'm looking forward to whenever they have something coming out next. His track record for things I like is very good. I like how he has a collection of characters that are charming but awkward and geeky, yet in one movie he may be a romantic lead, or in another he may be a serial killer, and either he makes believable. This is like a better version of what I saw recently with Love Hurts, where it's a gruesome action comedy centered around a love story, and both even tie into a holiday, whereas in that film, the romantic plot was like something forced in editing, while here, the two are given a lot of great scenes together before the heist, and their chemistry is very good. Obviously, something like this will have a lot of fun with the violence, and it does. There's some brutal stuff here, but it does it with a lot of physical humor. Like it's less body horror and more body dark comedy. It's not perfect. I wasn't always into the villain, played by Ray Nicholson. He's not a stock villain, they definitely give him a personality, and he has very fun going over the top, and sometimes the character works, and other times they write him a little obnoxious. There's also a twist that happens, and I was thinking about it early on and was like, I hope they don't do this. And then they do, and it did shake things up a little, even if I was like, okay, I know exactly what the last scene is gonna be now, and it was. But it's still a very entertaining movie. It's a fun B+, like something you could watch alongside the Crank movies. Up next, the Looney Tunes are back, which also has characters injuring themselves. Stay tuned.
Wooden steps must be free from holes and safe to walk on. That should work. Check.
Daffy Duck and Porky Pig star in their own full-length feature film, all fully animated and new footage. What? I demand it be old school, 20 minutes of new footage, and the rest is a compilation of episodes. Joking aside, I do love Quackbusters, so I'll say this is the best Looney Tunes movie since Quackbusters. Here we follow Daffy and Porky, best friends since birth and raised on a farm. Only the world is threatened when an alien infects a new kind of chewing gum that turns people into zombies with a plan for there to be a giant bubble around the Earth. At this point, I'm expecting every weekend to have an animated movie featuring zombies. This is 3 weeks in a row this has happened to me. The comedy is at its best when these quick gags come in and catch you off guard. Even the animation can be funny. Anytime this Farmer Jim character comes on screen, I gotta laugh just from his design alone. And I like this kind of story too. The world here is a hybrid of present day and the 40s and 50s, but is honestly the kind of animated movie I would have seen in the 90s. Like how the plot of Beavis and Butthead Do America started with them just wanting to find their TV. This one begins with the two simply needing to fix the roof of their house before their home is condemned, and one thing leads to another, and they're in space. There's little gags that come in early on, like a montage of them trying to find a job. but things in those bits come back later and play a huge part in the plot. I also like that it's strictly a Daffy and Porky and Petunia movie. It isn't cluttered with a lot of cameos or Easter eggs. That way, when there is one, it lands like the angry movie theater guy. The biggest criticism I have is that while I did get some big laughs out of it, there are a lot of long stretches, particularly when it gets action heavy, that it's less funny and more just loud. The comedy is at its best when it's very random with quick sight gags, and less so with the alien plot, but I still had fun. It's a good B, and I hope they do more movies like this, giving other characters starring roles too. Up next, Steven Soderbergh is back with the spy thriller Black Bag. Stay tuned.
Did you masturbate this morning?
Oh, good. The embarrassing personal questions start early.
Do you enjoy toast?
Very much.
It's Steven Soderbergh's second film of the year, and I really dug Presents, but I liked this one even more. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are a married couple who are also intelligence agents, and he's given information that she might be trying to sell a deadly bioweapon. It's like an espionage thriller crossed with a marital drama, but this is way, way less Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and more like it's combined these two common genres and styles of a 1960s film and set it in present day. Really, Fassbender could have been one of the fake James Bonds from '67 Casino Royale. It's like writer David Koepp wanted to put Bond into a domesticated world where he's the only agent who is faithful to his wife, whereas everyone else has affairs out the ass. Hell, it's even got actors from the Bond franchise like Pierce Brosnan and Naomi Harris. But it's definitely a dialogue film and less on spectacle, and the conversations here are just great, packed with people who you don't know if they're telling the truth or not because they're all so damn charismatic. There's these dinner date scenes and therapy sessions and polygraph scenes that all have the intensity of a big action scene. There's a lot of plot here for something that only has a 90-minute runtime, but it never feels like it's too short, so this was an A for me. If you're wanting a very adult, double-crossing spy thriller, you got it here. Up next, you want to see John Malkovich be crazy again? Well, Opus is out. Stay tuned. Okay, so in Opus, John Malkovich is a world-renowned pop star named Moretti who has been off the grid for 30 years but comes back with a new album where his launch party is to invite a bunch of journalists to a commune in the middle of the desert, where as it turns out, he's actually a cult leader, letting all others bask in his genius until his more sinister plan comes into play, from basically wanting revenge against these tabloid journalists and influencers who have insulted him, and also a more larger scale scheme involving his cult known as Level. I mean, come on, yeah, I had to get a ticket for this. It's John Malkovich as a best-selling recording artist who's leading a new Jonestown. How could this go wrong? This is like A24 wants Midsummer crossed with The Menu, only the result is actually really bad. But the kind of bad where, I can't lie, I was wanting to see where it would go next. Last week I reviewed The Rule of Jenny Penn, which was very flawed, but I stuck with it on the grounds of John Lithgow going batshit insane throughout it. That movie was a lot better than this, but what kept it from ever being boring was John Malkovich going full Malkovich here, where his first scene has him making a monologue out of a Chuck Norris joke. He sells a lot of the dialogue here, which is no easy task because the dialogue is bad. It's one of those where it has to make every other character but the lead two-dimensional and stupid so it can keep going. At this ranch, people go missing. A man is accidentally shot with an arrow. The cult members have scars on their hands from digging for pearls. They shave their guests' pubes. There's a puppet show involving animal corpses, and only one person is like, something is up here, we should leave, and the others are like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. She tells her boss that she wants to write a secondary article about this cult, which is clearly the bigger story, but he's like, no, it's only about the music. What? Sometimes it comes across like parody, only it isn't, from this montage of Moretti being introduced by Tony Hale like he's out of a comedy sketch. where the song is forgettable, but apparently set the world on fire 30 years ago. This would have worked better as a parody because the result is unintentionally funny, like Malkovich bumping and grinding in front of journalists who are all like, he's a genius! I get what it's trying to do with its commentary on the cult of celebrity, but it doesn't work and it's been done better. Except you at least get to see Malkovich act like Hannibal Lecter with gold records. Also, Amber Midthunder is in this too, and she is creepy in it, so I was like, damn, between this and Novocaine, she's got range. But because I did want to see where the madness was going, it's not like I'll forget the movie anytime soon. It's a generous C-. It's also a weird enough film that I could see it having a fan base. Coming next week, I'll have my review for the live-action Snow White movie. Can't wait. See you then.